Hello, welcome back to Sim by the Mile. You join me today here on the West Coast Mainline, and we're going to be driving the Class 350 here from Milton Keynes into London Euston. While we just get our train cab set up, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has recently subscribed. The channel growth has been absolutely fantastic, and I'm glad you're all loving the content. When I started this channel, I didn't think we'd grow as quickly as we have done, so big thank you to all of you for sticking around here. We'll get our passengers loaded up. This service today is stopping up at Leighton Buzzard. Other than that, we are pretty much straight through to London Euston, so just the one stop on the way. And the whole journey itself should take around about 40 minutes getting down the line here early in the morning, taking these busy commuters down into London for their jobs. So we got a minute just under before we set off. As always though, while we're waiting, how are you finding Train Symbol 5 so far? Have you been enjoying the new routes they've added? Are you looking forward to what they've announced on the roadmap? I know for me personally, the one thing I'm really looking forward to is the new Manchester commuter route that's been announced, the Manchester Airport commuter. Being someone from Manchester and driving them trains, that's got me really excited. And hopefully, because we had the West Coast Mainline and we do have the Pendolino, we do get some layering or the option to maybe even drive the Pendolino out of Manchester Piccadilly. I'm not sure how far the route will go, but I know they do get stopping services from Piccadilly to that do stop at Wilmslow. And I'm pretty sure on the description it did mention Wilmslow as one of the services. I don't know why my wipers are on. Where I must have tipped that by accident. Today I'm driving the train with the rail driver, so it may be that I've knocked the controller. But yeah, it's good to be in the Class 350. So this is another train that I've been enjoying quite a bit since its release on this route. Obviously it's not as fast on the acceleration as the Pendolino, but it's better for these little short distance commuter runs. That said, in terms of shorter distances, these things do get around. They run as far as Birmingham. One thing I read says London North Western actually ran all the way up to Liverpool on these trains, which I imagine will take a while if they did run that far, but definitely they run between Euston and Birmingham. So I'm going to pull off the throttle here, just keep it under 90 miles an hour. And then we've got to get down to 70 right after, so we're going to apply a little bit of braking. We do have a station just coming up ahead of us, that's the reason why we're having to slow down. And a couple of yellow lights as well. It's giving us a flashing yellow light, so we may be switching tracks at a junction that's going to be coming up shortly. And I think it's probably just the other side of the platform, as you can see on the little mini map in the top corner. We've had a 60 show up, so we're going to be switching tracks. coming through. At least it is a high-speed switch, though, that we are doing. Bleed off a little bit more speed and just try and take us to 60 now, and then just cruise out there as we come up to our little switching of tracks. Just after the next signal, which you can see just ahead now. And you can see on the signal there's the feather telling us we're going to be going off to the right. Our junction should just be here. And once we clear of the switches, we'll pop a speed back up. We do have a 110 speed limit, and we're actually clear to go all the way up to 110, which is the max speed limit for this train. I just had to check that. Quick, sneaky little glance up ahead. I'm going to pop us on full throttle and try and get us up as quickly as we can. One of those things you do notice between the Pendolino and the 350 is just the acceleration speed. It's so much slower in the 350. So, just 2 and a bit miles away from Leighton Buzzard. You can see we are getting a few lights as well, so we may have a service up ahead of us. Although that red light's just disappeared, so... if we are following the service, though, we're hopefully stopping at Leighton Buzzards will give it enough space between ourselves and it, so we don't end up catching it too quickly, if that's what we are doing. About to hit in a 90-mile-an-hour zone, but we're already well below the speed limit for that, so that's fine. So I'm probably going to brake quite early here. I'm not too familiar with how quickly the 350 is at braking. I've only done it a few times. Travelled in it a few times as a driver. I've been mainly on the Pendolino when I have been on the West Coast Mainline. So can give us a little bit of brake. Plenty of time to get down to gets down and not end up blasting through the platform. End up with a lot of unhappy people going to work if we decide we're just no longer stopping at Leighton Buzzards. Wouldn't that be an interesting call with your boss? Yeah, sorry, I can't come into work today. Our train driver's an idiot and decided they didn't want to stop at our station. So yeah, I'm not coming in. So when it comes to stopping our train, I do like to be over the threshold on the platform at about 35, if not a little bit slower. So it looks like we're going to be pretty much smack bang on 35, and we are stopping relatively soon as well, so I thought we'd have be stopping a little bit further down the platform than we actually are. Yes, we are only a 4 car. So we've gone over the marker a little bit, but it's fine. Get the doors open. Once we're done here, we're straight through to London Euston. So hopefully we do have a smooth ride through. Right, let's get the doors locked and let's get out of here. So, next stop, London Euston, due in at 7:20, so just over half an hour. And these lovely passengers can make their journey onwards to wherever they're going to. Maybe hop on the Northern Line. There's a tube station, a tube line I've used a lot going out of London Euston. I think it's the Northern Line anyway. Or perhaps even on the Lioness line that we get to go alongside as we're on the way in. That's one thing I'm yet to try, is try out the Lioness line on this route and that train. When I tried to set it up with the rail driver, for some reason, and I don't understand why, on that particular train, unless I'm doing something wrong with the setup, it seems to just have the brakes fully applied. And I can't release the brakes on it. I've tried it with a control pad, and on the control pad I can get that train to work. But in terms of actually using the rail driver controller, and I have a train cab controller for a reason, I just can't seem to get it to work. And it makes no sense. Every other service I've used on Train Sim World, apart from maybe the steam engine, I have been able to get working fine with the rail driver controller. It's just that particular train that came with the Goblin line, the London Overground train, where it just doesn't seem to work, which is slightly frustrating. If I do figure that out though, I will at some point, or maybe if I have to use a control pad, I will at some point give a Lioness line and the Goblin line a try and bring them to the channel as well. It's just a matter of sorting out that issue with regards to the controls. In terms of the train journey though, we are just cruising along. Compared to my last video I did on the San Bernardino line, this is silky smooth. We're not getting the frame rate drops, which does make me believe it isn't my computer that's the issue. It is optimization on the San Bernardino line. And I have had the same problem as well on the Frankfurt route that came out when I gave that a try. Is it just, the frame rate basically made him unplayable. British Ace spoke about this in some of his videos recently, that the Frankfurt route for him basically became unplayable after the last patch they released for it. It broke the route, and I know from the Dovetail Live roadmap stream the other day, one of the things that they mentioned, what was hitting performance was, for example, there were too many trees, or trees in places where they shouldn't have been, and that was a big issue in terms of performance, where it was loading in triple times the amount of trees and foliage than it should be. We're here on the West Coast Mainline. We're pretty much riding through. It is smooth sailing, 60 frames per second. We have a reasonable amount of AI traffic on as well. In terms of, I think we have every single layer for this route. So hopefully the other two routes do get fixed. I would like to revisit the San Bernardino route a little bit more. First time I played it was actually on that video that I released a few days ago. That was my very first look at the route, and apart from the frame issues, it was enjoyable. I'm not sure it would become my favourite, but it's at least fun to jump into and try. And as I mentioned in that video, it'd be fun to hop in a freight train and drive one of the big American freight trains, well, probably a live stream to be fair, out of LA, and then all the way to San Bernardino, and then jump on Cajun Pass with the route hop in and continue the service all the way up Cajun Pass, or vice versa. But there are plans for the little bit of plans in the future. Talking about the future as well, it's only probably a week or so out, a couple of weeks out now, but we are getting our first new Train Sim 5 route in the Boston MTBA, which again, I'm not the biggest fan of American routes, but I will be picking that up, and I will have some content based around that coming to the channel as well, including a look at the Boston Sprinter line, which I do own. And a lot of people say the Boston Sprinter line is one of the best US routes, so that'll be really good to jump in, try that for the first time, because that's again a route I've not actually played. I don't even remember buying it. I'm assuming it came with whichever edition of Train Sim World. It might have even been Train Sim World 2, I don't know when it came out, as one of the routes. But again, most of the time I generally do play the British routes more, being from England, and I actually understand what the signals are doing. But still, it'll be cool to try and check out the Boston Sprinter, and I am looking forward to picking up the MTBA route and diving straight into that when it's released, and giving it a good shout out for its money, and giving it a good try. What about you guys? Are you guys looking forward to anything in particular? As I mentioned before, the announcement from the roadmap, the big ones were the MTBA coming the end of this month, unless you're watching in the future, in which case it may already be out. The other big thing coming out, what was announced, was the Manchester airport commuter. They were the two things I was most excited for. The other thing I'm excited for, actually, and this has been announced for a while, is the Japanese route as well that's coming to the sim. The story of Forest Rail was, for Train Sim Classic, was brilliant. It was unique, and yeah, it'll be nice to see an actual Japanese route come over. Although I know that's not in the immediate future, that was not in like the 0 to 3 months time scale. And then obviously the Just Trains route as well. which is coming, the West Coast Mainline over Shap. Again, that's going to be, I think that's probably going to be a must buy, the West Coast Mainline over Shap, for people who play and own this game. So in terms of the future, there's quite a little bit of up and coming content for Trains World 5 that I am looking forward to. And we've got plenty of hours worth of gameplay so far here on the West Coast Mainline South. Again, still my biggest gripe about this line is just the shortness. It doesn't go all the way to Birmingham New Street like the Train Sim Classic route did. But we went over that in my Pendolino video, which you can find on my channel, going through that. And even though it doesn't give us the route all the way to Birmingham, I have had a lot of fun, and it does give us a lot of services, so I'll forgive it for that little annoyance. One of the things though with the West Coast Mainline over Shap, or Preston to Carlisle as I believe they're calling it on the Train Sim World version of the route, is it will be, once it's released, it will be the longest UK route in Train Sim World. I think they said it's 109 miles. And yeah, it should also layer with a lot of the BR, if you have the BR Blue stuff. Obviously, the Teesside line, Northern Transpennine, Blackpool branches, they should all layer onto the route as well. Now I do own some of them. I don't own the Teesside line, which you do need to pick up at some point. But that should hopefully fill the route and make it feel busy. And yeah, once they finish with Preston to Carlisle, hopefully they then build the West Coast Mainline North, and we get the section from Carlisle to Glasgow, and then it can fix into the Scottish stuff that we already have, although I guess the era will be different. But maybe in the future though, we can get an update. Like, I know, for example, there is a way on Train Sim Classic where you can drive this up to Birmingham. There's then the missing link from Birmingham to Preston, which I think is Alan Thompson Simulations route, and then there's the West Coast Mainline over Shap, and then the West Coast Mainline North. So it is possible, and there is someone I have seen do it on Train Sim Classic, where essentially you can take a train all the way up the West Coast Mainline, starting in London Euston, going all the way up to Glasgow. So hopefully we get that at some point coming to Train Sim World. We're going to have at least 2 sections soon, albeit different eras, of the West Coast Mainline. Although that said, I believe the original West Coast Mainline over Shap was also set in the 80s as well. So when they've combined the routes, they have had to work on the traffic and make it modern, make adjustments on it. So who knows, it'll be something fun to try at some point. On Train Sim Classic, I own the Glasgow section, and I also own the over Shap section. I definitely don't own the south bit, so if I wanted to do that in the future, it would be something I'd have to go ahead and buy, and also then get the missing link to be able to do the whole run up the West Coast Mainline. And as I said in my Azuma video as well, we took a look at the East Coast Mainline, obviously the Peterborough to Doncaster section. That's something I'd like to see, again with the route hopping, is it expanded on. And maybe give us Peterborough to King's Cross, for example. So we have that section of the East Coast Mainline, and we can really make the use of the Azuma train, because the Azuma is fun to drive. Obviously modern locos tend to be fun anyway, but I really enjoyed going over to the East Coast Mainline, mainly to compare it to what we got this year in terms of train sim. That was the point of that video. And it was good just to hop into the Azuma and just have fun zooming down, well, I guess up in that case, because we're going from Peterborough, but zooming along the East Coast Mainline. That's something I do wish would be expanded on. And if they gave us West Coast Mainline this year, maybe with Train Sim World 6 we get an extension. Maybe Peterborough to Doncaster, or Doncaster to York, or Doncaster to Newcastle, and do the northern section of it. Again, that's speculation for the future. We'll have to see what they do give us in terms of Train Sim World 6, but that's a long way away. We've probably got 12 months or so of exciting content coming up, which we've mentioned: the Manchester Commuter, the West Coast Mainline, the MTBA, off the top of our head the Tagami line, all the exciting content we've got coming for this game. And of course I'll be covering as much of it as I can. And then we also have our real life videos as well. I'm not sure if it would have been released before or after this video has come out, but I know in preparation for the Manchester Commuter line, I did go down to one of the stations between Manchester Piccadilly and Manchester Airport, do some recording and do some in real life train stuff. Where basically we were having a little look around the station, seeing what it's like, and also just seeing the amount of services that were coming through that, and giving an indication just as to how busy that line is. I think I was there for about 15-20 minutes, and in that time we had 8 different services, a couple stopping, others just going straight past. So yeah, it was fun to actually get out and do some real life stuff. One thing I've always wanted to do as well, with the Glossop line being in the game, is take the Glossop line up to Hadfield and give you an indication as to how that compares to what we've got in the simulation. Just looking out the window there, recording here, and there's just this horrible noise, and looking out, it's a massive hailstorm outside the window at the moment. So if you can hear that in the background, I do apologise. I am using a new microphone for this video and also the San Bernardino video. I have upgraded my microphone, so hopefully the audio quality should be better, but I don't know how good this is at picking that up. So if you were wondering what that crashing noise was out the window, it's hail coming down, although I think it is stopping. Distracting me then. So we're nearly here at London Euston. We've just got 10 miles to go. We should be there in the next 10 minutes. Pretty much it's been smooth can't speak. Pretty much it has been smooth sailing so far, after we've gone through Watford. This is the end of the tube line, and we actually got some tube stop in the station. That's something that'll be interesting to look at as well, actually. Now we have the West Coast Mainline stuff. having a look at the Bakerloo line. It's been a long time since I've been on the Bakerloo line, and I wonder if the Bakerloo line will actually get an upgrade as well. So the West Coast Mainline services that we have now in the game basically layer on to it as AI traffic, so we can see, you know, the Class 350 we're in today, or the Pendolino zipping up and down that little section of track, because that'd be cool if they did decide to go back and do an update to the Bakerloo line and add in the new AI traffic we got, and also the Goblin train as well, because that literally runs on that line. It's shared track, the DC track in and out of Euston. You know, it is shared between the Jubilee train and the London Overground, so perhaps that's something we'll see in the future coming to Train Sim World. Speaking of updates, actually, one thing that another thing I'm looking forward to is the Great Western Express remaster. Great Western Express being the very first British route that came to Train Sim World back in the day. I know, years and years ago now. And I've been on that line recently. It is certainly showing its age now. I can't remember exactly when it came out. It must have been like 2018, 2019. My window wiper's been knocked on. That's an issue with my rail driver control. Let me turn them off. I must have knocked control while I was using a lever. But yeah, so that route is showing its age. It's still fun. Still fun to drive, and you've still got the high-speed train. But the remaster for Great Western Express should bring a lot of new life into that in terms of train sim. And I think a lot of people, especially if you were playing back in before Train Sim World 2, back when that was released, probably do have a lot of fond memories about, you know, Great Western Express and going up and down between Reading and London. So yeah, hopefully the remaster, again, it's not in the immediate future on the roadmap, but that will be, and that is again so another little bit of content we should be getting within the next cycle, within the next 12 months. And I think Train Simulator as a whole, there's so much potential now for Train Sim World. And Dovetail. I mean, my rail driver is just being annoying at the moment. It keeps popping on the window wipers. But yeah, there's a lot of exciting content coming out for the game. It's just hopefully they manage to fix some of the optimization issues that have plagued, say, the San Bernardino route and the Frankfurt route. Because, like, we barely had any frame drops here. We're 3 and a bit miles out from London Euston, and it's pretty much been smooth sailing, where when I was making the San Bernardino, same computer, same setup. I'll give you a hint, it's actually the same day, right afterwards. San Bernardino was just freezing and wasn't being very friendly. Finished that video, came into this right after pretty much, and obviously it'll be released later, but this route runs perfectly fine. Now we're getting really, really heavy rain. It's glad I'm not outside today. We're just inside. Coming into our train station. So we've got to drop down to 55 and then a 50 right afterwards. I'm just going to bring the speed right down to 50, I think. There's no point in pulling off the braking at 55. Well, we actually do need the wipers on now. So, we are playing with dynamic weather. It's a lot better in-game down in London than it is here in Manchester at the moment. I can tell you that for free. Pendolino going the other way. Well, we're coming out the tunnel now, and we should be coming into Euston relatively quickly, just a mile and a half to go. This maze of tracks you get when you come in and out of the station. It's a very, very London Euston is a very, very complicated setup in terms of station approach, with little tunnels and crossovers and things like that. It's like when they were designing the tracks, they went a little crazy when they were building the layout for it. Like here to the side, you have this little tunnel, and then one of them tracks. We do need to get down. Bring in a little bit of brake here. Actually, need to be at 40 in a minute, so we're going to brake quite heavily. But yeah, one of them tracks goes under and comes out the other side, and yeah. Like this is the bridge I was talking about, with one of them tracks coming under and over and dodging. Like, I don't understand how it got to how they designed the tracks back in the day. I mean, I'm not sure when London Euston was built. It must be, you know, 150 years ago, or whenever they built the station. Maybe even longer. Now, you know, what were they thinking in terms of the maze of tracks and tunnels they've built around here? But it does make it fun to come into and leave, and going through this complicated layout of infrastructure that's been put down. But yeah, here we are. We're going to be pulling in a minute. We're pulling into platform 10. So we'll just turn the corner, get under the shelter. We can turn the window wipers off now because we're inside. Well, here we are at London Euston. If you've been watching Sim by the Mile, if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Also hit the notification bell as well for when we go live. We have a lot of exciting projects coming up, and a lot more train sim content coming to the channel as well. Other than that, you have a good day, and thank you for traveling with me. For now, goodbye.